The Biden administration is likely to maintain pressure on Beijing by preserving limits on U.S. investments on Chinese companies.
Chinese are eating our lunch. They're eating our lunch economically. They're investing hundreds of billions of dollars in research and development. That's why right now, if it keeps going the way, they're going to own the electric car market in the world. They're going to own a whole range. We got to compete.
Well, ADRs of China's biggest tech firms touching session lows. On that news, let's get more from our White House editor, Alex Wayne. Alex, what more do we know about this?
Well, the White House is reviewing these investment bans that were put in place by the Trump administration. You'll recall that the former president announced these bans in November, and then there was considerable confusion in the markets over the next month as the New York Stock Exchange sort of struggled with the question of whether to immediately delist these companies that were named in the U.S. government's list or not. Ultimately, they've moved toward delisting three major telecoms companies. But there was considerable hope among investors that the Biden administration might reverse that ban. It looks like that is likely not to happen. The Biden administration appears to be moving toward, or at least the president's advisors appear to be moving toward recommending that he maintain those bans on U.S. investment in these companies.
Alex, so what are the implications for Wall Street, given that, as you mentioned, there was a lot of confusion when this ban was implemented?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of this has probably been baked into the share prices of these companies. I would expect that savvy investors would see the considerable hostility toward China or toward China's government and our government, and not bid up the prices of these companies in expectation that Biden would reverse the ban. There is a lot of I don't want to say anti-Chinese, but anti-Chinese government sentiment in the U.S. Congress these days on both sides of the aisle, among Democrats and Republicans. So if Biden proceeds with this ban, I think he will find that he'll have a lot of support for it among lawmakers in both parties in our country.
You know, President Biden has taken a different approach to a lot of issues from his predecessor. But as you say, given the bipartisan support for staying tough on Beijing, has he been staying the course when it comes to a continuation of a lot of these policies for China?
Yeah, I think some of this is positioning, posturing. I think that the Biden administration has yet to really engage with Beijing. There has not been a real, formal meeting between President Biden and President Xi, for example. So I think the Biden administration is to some extent trying to strengthen its hand before this new administration really starts engaging with the government in Beijing. And by floating the idea that they're not going to back down from this investment ban, I think that is sort of another arrow they add to their quiver as they enter into more difficult talks with China on the future of trade deals, on military buildups in the South China Sea, on North Korea, on climate change, on a host of issues that the two countries are mutually concerned about.